her booty in your lap, and she'll just wrap her legs around her torso. I'll get out some snacks just in case she gets the munchies. Sometimes she explores with her mouth, sort of like a toddler. They do have really poor eyesight, so don't let her get a hold of your finger or anything like that, because they can't distinguish between a finger and a sweet potato. Just in case. Yeah, you know I'm making it for you, don't you? She says, hurry up now. So you can feed her these little pieces, just like a little reverse Pez dispenser like this. When she gets a hold of it, you can let it go and she'll finish it. So like I said, they do have really poor eyesight. They have what's called rod monochromacy, which means they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. And the cone cells are the cells that are in the back of the eye. That gives the person sense of color. So they are colorblind, but they can see motion really well. So they see things moving in front of them, but they can't really distinguish what it is, which is why I say that they can't distinguish the difference between a finger and a sweet potato. So we just feed her like a little reverse Pez dispenser there. They also have a really narrow field of vision, so you can see how dilated her eyes are. And they stay like that all the time, even when it's dark. So it's essentially like if you were to cut both of your hands together and look through it like a telescope, they don't have any peripheral vision. That's pretty interesting.
How old is she?
She's 16 months old.
Oh.
She's still a baby, still growing. Yeah, she can be a messy eater sometimes.
Was she born here?
No, we don't breed our sloths here. We got both Zoe and Dash, which he's here in this basket. He might start waking up here in a minute and want to come out, but we got them both from a breeder that's been breeding sloths for over 30 years. He's actually a doctor of veterinary medicine as well, so he has a lot of experience with animals and knows just what to do if anything were to ever go south. But he has a lot of experience with it, so you can imagine that we have Flash first. He's in this enclosure, it goes up 20 feet. That when we got Flash, he was not used to being interactive with people like this. He came from a totally different situation, and so we had him first, but once we were wanting to get a baby that would interact with us like this. We went through a lot of questioning to figure out what our knowledge was of sloths before we were able to get Zoe, because there's no reputable breeder in the United States that would sell one of their sloth babies to the general public. There's a lot of research and things that go into learning about sloths and knowing about sloths to be able to keep them. And unfortunately, a lot of the public, that they don't do enough research before trying to go and get a sloth. You don't have to have a specific license to own a sloth, but we are inspected by the USDA. They come and inspect all of our animals and our health programs and what we have in order, for our animals here.
Close the top gate. The gate got closed, but it's Humphrey and Ollie.
So Zoe is a two-fingered sloth. We only have two-fingered sloths here in captivity. The three-fingered sloths, their diets are a lot more specific to what they eat in the rainforest, which is the leaves of the sarcopia trees, and they can't really vary much from that. So owning a three-toed sloth would be similar to owning a koala. You'd have to have basically a private jet to go to and from the rainforest to get you those sarcopia leaves, and not a lot of people are.
Not in the budget.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're hoping that they're trying in Florida right now to get a few groves of the sarcopia trees growing down there, and if they're able to do that with success, then we'll be able to slowly implement the three-fingered sloths into captivity and be able to preserve them as well. And it is a conservancy effort that we're doing in keeping these animals in captivity. So Zoe Her whole line of sloths, they have been bred in captivity for generations upon generations upon generations, and so she would have virtually no idea what to do if she were to be stuck out, in the middle of the rainforest. She has never been exposed to that. Her mom was never exposed to that. Her grandma was never exposed to that, and generations before as well. So these sloths are further removed from the rainforest than we are from the pilgrims first coming over. Obviously, we're still people. We still have quirks like people do, but that was a long, long time ago. So in the wild, they actually have a whole entire ecosystem that lives on their back. A lot of pictures that you see of them in their natural habitat, they've got moss and algae growing all through their back of their fur, and they've also got moths that live in their fur. Thankfully, we don't have the moths that are here in captivity because that would be a little bit gross, but they rely on those moths in the wild to be able to digest their food. So they have a symbiotic relationship with the moths, meaning that both parties benefit. So sloths only use the bathroom once a week, and when they come down to use the bathroom, they use the same tree on the same side of the tree to the same pile that they did the week before. And when they go to the bathroom, the moths that are in their fur will climb down and lay their larvae in the dung pile of the sloth. And they'll scurry back up onto the sloth before they lose their ride back to the canopy of the rainforest. And then the next week, when the sloth comes down to use the bathroom again, the moths that were larvae have now developed into moths and will climb up onto the sloth, and the cycle will be repeated. So it benefits the moth because they have basically a little transportation to and from their breeding ground, and the moss and algae that grows in the sloth's fur is also their source of food. Now it also benefits the sloth because when they turn around and groom themselves, they lick up a portion of the moths themselves, and that's their form of protein in the wild. So they'll eat a variety of small insects and bugs that will be their protein, as well as the moths that are on their backs. When they groom themselves, they also lick up a portion of the moth's waste, and that is where they get the bacteria to digest their food. So sloths don't digest their food like an enzymatic process like we do. It's through a bacterial process, and so it's really important that they maintain that gut bacteria or they would not be able to digest their food. So that kind of beckons the question, well then how do they get bacteria here in captivity if they don't have the moths? And that's because on day 3, when the sloth is just 3 days old, they'll climb onto the belly of the mother and lick the mother's corners of her mouth around here, because when she eats, it froths up with her saliva and it kind of gets trapped in the corners of her mouth. And that's where the baby first starts to get the bacteria colony to be able to digest their food. And that baby will keep that colony the rest of its life as long as everything is in order. So they have really specific temperature requirements. They can't maintain their own body temperature. And so if it drops much below 78, then that bacteria that's in their gut will slowly begin to die off. And that can become a problem for the sloth because they don't have the moths that live in their fur for them to turn around and lick up that waste to be able to replenish that bacteria. So that's where it becomes really important, to maintain everything just right the way that it should be, so that bacteria does never, become scarce. We always have a good gut bacteria, good gut biome in there to be able to digest everything. You're demanding today, honey. She just went to the bathroom a few days ago, so she's still trying to replenish everything that she lost. So they eat about 10% of their body weight every day. And then when they do finally go to the bathroom, it's about 1/3 of their entire body weight. So it's a massive amount. And it's not just solids, it's liquids as well. So they don't even urinate while they're in the tops of the trees.
That's interesting. It sounds uncomfortable.
She is an eating machine.
At the playground, at the wagon, right? Yeah. Alright, they put the down there now.
And how old is Dash?
Dash is 8 months old. So he's still a bit, and you can see the color differences between the two. They're the same species, they came from the same breeder. So they may even be distantly related, I'm not sure. But the dark coloration that he has, especially on the top of his head, will start to turn lighter as he gets older. They don't shed out their baby fur, but they'll grow into their adult fur, and his hair will get a lot longer. When we first got him, he was almost pitch black. He was really, really dark, and he was about half this size. So he was 4 months old when we got him. And he was so small that he could not wrap all the way around our torso like this, and he had to sit on the crevice of our arm like this.
When they're that small, does he have to be with them like all the time?
Yeah, so he stays in this basket all the time, and if he's not down here doing encounters and he's up at the house, he stays at the main house, and so did Zoe until she was a year old. And then at that point they start to come down and they'll can be down here a lot more. She can't eat that rice if that's what she
Okay.
wants.
She can?
Yeah. We're slowly weaning her off that rice mixture because that fattens them up a lot quicker than anything else. And you can tell she's getting a little Buddha belly on her too. But she still has it. Once she gets to be about 2, at that point she should be slowly transitioned onto 2 boiled eggs a week instead of that rice mixture. Because in that rice mixture there's a really, really high quality, high calorie dog food that's mixed into it. It's soaked in water and then mixed into the rice and the sweet potatoes shaved up. And that's their protein up until they're over onto the boiled eggs. But Flash, the one that's in that enclosure that goes up 20 feet, he's over on the boiled eggs now. And then this little guy, he can't stand even just, a really small piece like that. It has to be shaved up really, really small for him to be able to eat. He's still figuring out how to make sure that he gets everything down, because I'm not trained in sloth CPR, so I'm not sure what we would do if he started to choke on anything. So we just try to make sure everything's really finely shaved up and chopped up for him. So obviously sloths spend the majority of their lives in the treetops upside down. And so everything that's in a sloth is designed to be that way. It's designed to be upside down. Everything from the mechanisms that's in their hands that allows them to hold on like that, to their circulatory system and their digestive tract and the connective tissue that holds everything together in between all of that. So some scientists speculate that when they're looking upside down like that, so for us it would be like, tilting our head all the way back, that's actually their right side up. Not all scientists agree on that, but it would make sense because everything else in their body is designed to be that way. So their circulatory system, you can imagine, if I was to try to hold on to a branch for a really long time, or just hold my hand up, the blood that's in my hand is slowly going to drain down to my shoulder and my hand's going to fall asleep. But they have specific valves that are in their circulatory system that can slam closed and pump harder and adjust as needed to be able to supply blood all the way, to their the tips of their claws. And then they also can close off to allow, not all that blood to rush to their head. She might be full now, but I'll put that there just in case. See if she'll snuggle in a little bit. But they've also got their digestive tract is one-way valves, so they don't have the ability to vomit or regurgitate their food. Everything stays just where it's supposed to be. You can imagine trying to do a handstand and eating. It would be pretty difficult to get that down or up in that case. But this is their happy place. This is where they want to be. As you could tell, he was in this basket until he saw me get up here, and he was like, "Oh, hold me." Not because he's hungry, he just ate just a little bit ago, but because this is where he likes to be. This is where he's conditioned to be. They are ambassador animals. And the breeding program that they came from, the breeder has conditioned his mothers to know that when they hear a clicker noise, they know that they get a little bit of a treat, and the breeder would borrow their baby for about 10-15 seconds and then give baby right back to mom. And that time will slowly increase as the baby gets a little bit older. up until they're weaned around 4 or 5 months old, the baby's being used to being held by upwards to 30 minutes to an hour a day, and that's totally fine with them. That's something that they enjoy doing. And they'll go through a final ambassador test that if they pass it, means that they do actually genuinely enjoy being held by people and interacting with people. There are a few babies that don't pass that test and they would just rather hang out on their own and not have to be interacting with someone so much. And those babies will go to a facility that's more of an observation and not hands-on learning like this. And that's totally fine with them. And it's the same way with all of our sloths here have free choice to do what they want to do. If for whatever reason Zoe was having a complete off day and I set her in somebody's lap, she was like, no, I want to go back to my hammock, which has never happened to my knowledge. But if that were to happen, that would be completely fine. We'd put her back and we would, change the session to another sloth. And which it did happen this morning. That Flash, we had an encounter that was supposed to be with him at 10:30. And usually he comes down to eat his breakfast out here at 10 o'clock. And usually he's like already ready, kind of like poking at the door there, trying to get us to open that door up. But this morning he just was not having it, was having an off day, didn't want to eat his breakfast, didn't want to come down. And so that was fine with us. We just switched over to Zoe. About halfway through that encounter, he did decide to come down. And it's like, well, it's just a bonus now. But we just let them do what they want to do. And so if Flash decided to come down right now and started kind of pecking at the door frame there, wanting to come in, then I'd let him come in. They just kind of do what they want as they want, and we work around their schedules. And they do get pretty set schedules down that they like to stick to. So sloths are a lot like us, or some people. Some people don't like schedules, but for the most part, I like to know what time my alarm's going to go off, when I'm going to go to work, when I'm going to eat, things like that. And sloths are the same way. So all of their encounters are for the same slots every day. Not every day do they get booked, but if they're booked, then that's what time that they encounter, and they get to be where they're expecting. Around this time during the day, like right after we do Flash in the mornings, usually there's a spot for Zoe. So she knows that when we're out here talking about Flash, we're going to come in there and get her next. And so she's already getting prepared for it, waking up and anticipating coming out to interact with people. And some places will advertise as drop-in sloth encounters. You really have to do your research on places like that and make sure that you research the facility before booking with something like that, because you don't really know. The sloths don't know when they're going to be interacted with and when people are going to come in and expect to hold them and handle them and interact with them. And sloths sleep the majority of the day. They sleep 15 to 16 hours a day, and so they need time to be able to do that. But they do pretty much stick to their schedule. So if we don't have a slot booked and she's looking like she's getting a little antsy, like, all right, when somebody will come in here and pick me up, I'll go in there and just get her, just because she knows that's what's supposed to happen. So, but it has been about half of our time. If you guys want to switch, and we can always switch later too if you want to. If you don't want as much time,
It's his birthday. This is his birthday
Okay.
surprise.
we can switch 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It don't matter. Was your birthday today, or did we pass it? It is today? Good. Well, happy birthday. Seems like this is a birthday present for a lot of people, and sometimes we stay so booked out that somebody's birthday is like 2 months ago and they just couldn't book it until, because we do get pretty booked sometimes. Have you ever interacted with a sloth before? No? It's pretty cool. Not everybody gets to say that they did. And our hope with having these sloth encounters is that people will get their sloth fix here, doing an encounter like this where we know where the sloths have come from. We know that they've been ethically bred for this, to be ambassador animals and to educate the public, because a lot of times people will book cruises to go down to places like Costa Rica and Guatemala. And they do sometimes, they'll have just observing encounters where they'll go out into the rainforest and just look at the sloths in their natural habitat, and that's completely fine. But a lot of times the natives that live down there know that people are obsessed with sloths and they can just make a quick buck by going into the rainforest and finding a young sloth. Obviously he's a lot cuter than a really old sloth that's got a lot of moss and algae growing on him. That's what they're looking for. But if they do have moss and algae that's growing down them, doesn't look the best in pictures. A lot of times they'll scrub that off of them, and they really rely on that. If they're unlucky enough to get an older sloth that's a little bit more resistant, maybe aggressive towards people, oftentimes they will pull the sloth's teeth out. And a lot of the people that go down there and support, I wouldn't say support because some people don't understand what they've been through. Most people don't, because if you knew the sloth's teeth had been pulled, you probably wouldn't want to be giving that person your money. But they advertise it as this really nice thing, like, oh, he's been my pet for years and blah, blah, blah. But people just don't know. And so they'll pay to, spend just a few minutes with the baby sloth, take some pictures, and then that sloth sometimes would be returned to the rainforest after that whole excursion. But even if they are, their life expectancy is very, very short after that, because like we had talked about, that ecosystem that lives on their back, they rely on it for camouflage. They need those moths to be able to have that bacteria in their gut, and a lot of other things. So just disturbing what is naturally working for them is never a good idea. And that's why a lot of times people will see in our lives that we're holding these sloths. They're like, oh my gosh, you're not supposed to be holding sloths. You're going to mess up the ecosystem. You can see these guys have no ecosystem on their back. They have been bred in captivity. And this is all that they know.
He looks at you so lovingly.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yes. But, and you can tell too, I mean, when I go to put him back here in a second when we transfer her over, he loves this. This is what he's wanting. And I'll put him down in there and he starts peering over like, hey, I thought we were going to have a thing going on. Like, what, are you going to just leave me here now? They're sweet.
Do you have a favorite animal here? So to do it.
Well, Bakugan, he's a little 3-banded armadillo that stays in there in her enclosure on the floor. He is slowly becoming one of my favorites because his personality is just so big, and I can get him out too. We can talk about him real quick because he's hilarious. Like, I think he's sleeping right now, but his personality is just so big. Well, he's either out here somewhere sleeping or is out in the barn. Sometimes he comes out here or he gets trapped in here in his enclosure. But every time we ever open up a door, he always runs out right away because he loves to interact with people.
What's his name?
Bakugan. So, those little toys that they have magnets in them.
Oh, yeah.
Like in a little ball until you put them on a magnet and they spring open. Now I'm concerned because I don't see him in here. Is he? Can you see back there? Is he curled up in a little ball anywhere?
I don't see him.
Under that wood. Well, that's good. Interesting. I'm gonna poke my head out real quick. Yeah, he's really small. Well, not really small. I mean, he's like that big. I'm gonna poke my head out and see if they know about him. Do you guys know where Bakugan is at? In what?
In the top page of the feeder.
Baku?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you had him in there.
John puts them in there a lot.
Oh, cool. I had a minor freak out. Okay, just making sure you guys knew where he's at. Apparently, they put him sometimes in a upper kennel in there. I didn't know that they ever did that, so yeah, I had a little mini heart attack.
I was listening. I was like, sounds like she wants to show him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is Bakugan. Believe it or not, they are distantly related to sloths. So you see how they can curl, he can curl all the way up into a ball more than that. But when they curl all the way up like this, they do have a spine that's underneath this carapace that goes all the way through. And they have the ability to hinge that spine. And so does sloth. So Zoe was kind of showing that a minute ago when she was all curled up. I mean, I can curl my spine, but not to all the way where my head's in between my legs. But he's a pretty cool little dude, and they're part of the super order called Zothorans, and that means hinged spine. The anteaters are also part of that class, but he's a pretty cool little dude. And like I was saying, his personality is really big. If he gets annoying, I can put him up. But he digs at people's feet. He does not bite, I promise. He just scratches with his little feet, and he looks for bugs everywhere. And he does this really cute little thing where if somebody's feet are like that far apart, he'll flip himself over in between their feet and act like he's stuck. And they're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And he's still just laying there, and they're like getting concerned. And I'm like, just give it a second. And then he like pops back up like nothing even happened. But he's pretty cool. But yeah, he is slowly earning his spot as favorite in my books. It's definitely up there. We've got about 7 minutes left if you guys wanted to switch now.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, Zozo. Hey Zoe. I'm going out night. And this way. Oh, did you find a snack? Oh, you gave her one just now. I was like, have you been holding that in your mouth? Hi, Zoe. Come on, girl. Come on. I'm gonna let go. Here we go. Just set her in your lap and she'll just wrap around you. There we go. Just support her underneath her booty so she doesn't lose grip. Here's these two just in case you need to occupy her mouth.
Okay.
I guess she does. She acts like a little 2-year-old and she has to have something in her mouth constantly. Little dude. She's giving you a little hug. That's usually her natural position, is like that up around your neck. That's normal for her. She's not trying to go for your jugular, I promise. That's where her snuggling spot is. She usually has her head right here up against mine. She'll rest it right there.
Aww.
That's the position that she stayed in a lot when she was a baby.
I'm jealous.
We call him our belly baby because he likes to sit real down low like this, but when she was a baby, she wanted to be all the way up, just like that, and just around your shoulders, just like that, so that's normal for her. She must have thought you were real comfortable just taking a cat nap in your lap. Works out a little bit better, like how the position that you're in, when, especially how you've got your leg crossed, she's up higher, she feels like she can go up around your neck a lot better. And if she does get too tight up here around your shoulders, then she does tend to clamp down a little bit because that's natural for them. You can just tap her paw and she should loosen up. If she doesn't, then just slowly move it. And that's fine with her. Because she just forgets, like I said, this is their normal, their relaxed state. So for her to actually loosen up, she has to think about that. So just have to remind her sometimes. But the tendons that are in their forearms are so tight that this is snapped down is natural for them. To have to, extend that out and reach for the next branch, that's what they have to actually think about. So when they're hanging there in the trees all the time, they don't have to think about that at all. They can take naps, they can do, whatever. And if a sloth were to pass away in the tops of the tree hanging upside down like that, they would stay there. They would not unclamp, because that's their relaxed, their normal state, unless something were to rot or to knock them out of the tree. So. And the sloths also have the grip strength they're about 3 times stronger than a human if we were their size. So it's pretty impressive. They actually have the grip strength to be able to hold on to a branch, even if a jaguar or an ocelot were holding onto their back with all of their body weight. Obviously, they would sustain a lot of injuries from that, but they would be able to withstand and hold on throughout that. But the number one thing that's after them in the wild is the harpy eagle, the really, really big eagle that you see, not around here, but they're the number one thing that's after them, because looking from the top of the tree down, sloths are a lot easier to spot because they don't have as much moss on their underbelly. But from the rainforest floor looking up, they're pretty much camouflaged. So, and especially if an eagle were to swoop in and pick them up off the branch, if they're locked down like this on the branch and something raises them up, they're going to get a hold of them a lot easier.
What's their life expectancy like?
So in the wild, their life expectancy is about 25 to 30 years. In captivity, it can be up to 50 years.
Oh, wow.
So the oldest sloth that we know of was named Jan, and he passed away this past August at the age of 54 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, they can get pretty old. So we hope that these guys have long lives ahead of them, as long as everything is just right and maintained the way that it should be. He's probably coming for your toes. And it feels super weird, but I promise he just digs around. He's looking for bugs. I always tell people that, especially like socks, he's obsessed with socks. He'll try to dig into socks and find stuff. And I always tell people that I don't know why he does that, because to my knowledge he's never found any bugs in anybody's socks. But the other day I had a girl.
He's hoping one
Yeah.
day.
Well, the other day I was telling her that, and she was like, well, do you have any? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, are these mealworms for him? And she took one of these mealworms and like stuck half of it into the edge of her sock, and he found it, and it like made his entire week. It was great.
He's not gonna stop checking socks.
Yeah, for real. He was like, I knew it would happen one day.
Hey, McKelly, their hands are disinfected and they're right outside for
Okay.
you.
Yeah, if you guys want to take any more pictures, I can take some for you here too. I'm gonna trade out with the next people that were coming. You want me to take a few for you?
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. Alright, Zoe.
That's Zozo.
And this way. Come on, girl. You go ahead and let go of her neck. No. Alright. So we'll go ahead and come on out here. We'll sanitize our hands one more time.
Okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. Learned a little bit more. Do you guys have any other encounters for today?
No.
If you've ever done a Google review before, you can leave one if you want. If not, it takes forever to set it up, so you don't have to. You the next sloth people? Okay. Hi. Alright, you guys ready? Okay, we'll go ahead and come in and get started.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
It sounds like a duck.
Hey, he's a mute swan.
I want to live here.
Alright. So you guys can have a seat. Do we know who's wanting to hold her first?
Me?
Okay. So this is Zoe. Zoe likes to be pet in a very specific way. She was our first baby, and so she was very spoiled. Yeah, that's Dash. I'll have to pick him up here in a minute. Don't let him get a hold of you because he will try to climb onto you. So Zoe only likes to be pet just really slow, like this down her back, really relaxed. She doesn't like her sides or her belly to be touched. Sometimes she will show us her belly, but yeah.
What?
That's Bakugan.
Oh
He'll
my
probably
God.
dig at your ankles. He does not bite, I promise. He's looking for bugs.
Is there anything else that might?
No, that's the only
Okay.
thing. But yeah, he's looking for some bugs. Promise he does not bite.
What? Way better when he's by you.
Here.
Here you go, I'll go put them in for the farm tour.
Oh my gosh.
Anyhow, so if you guys want to have a seat, I'll set her down into your lap. Support her underneath her booty, just like this.
Here, that's for you.
Yeah.
And just give her nice slow pets down her
I'm
back.
afraid.
No, she's okay.
Hi. Oh my goodness.
And then just support her underneath her booty. There we go.
You have a big booty, huh?
And if she gets hungry and starts to get a little bit mouthy, we can always offer her just a little bit to eat. And this guy's probably hungry right now too. What are you doing, bud?
Oh.
So this is our baby Dash, and he is ravishly hungry all the time. And he actually just went to the bathroom last night, so he's trying to replenish his store. But sloths are pretty much snackers. They snack throughout the day.
He's little.
Yeah, he's just 8 months old, so he's still got a lot of growing left to do. Zoe is 16 months old.
That's crazy. You're recording.
What?
You're recording. So hit the red button. Stop it.
Oh, they already stopped it.
No.
I wonder if I did record.
Hi.
Where are you guys in from today?
We're originally from like the Illinois, Chicago area.
Yeah.
But our son got married in Ohio,
Okay.
and we own land up near Chattanooga, so we
Yeah.
thought, since we don't have to be home right away, we'll swing down here and see our land and then come and see you guys.
Well, cool.
Hi.
Is this your only encounter for today?
Yeah. Oh, she's holding on to me hard.
Yeah, if she holds on too hard, you can tap her little paw.
Oh, no,
Yeah, just like that. She knows that when you tap her paw, that means to loosen up. So their relaxed state is actually opposite to ours. It's clamped down.
Put your back
Okay.
if you're flipping around.
Smile.
When you have food. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, she loves her snacks, that's for sure. And she explores a lot like a 2-year-old with her mouth. So she has to put everything in her mouth to figure out what it is. So if she does start to explore with her mouth around your arm or anything, just don't let her use her teeth, because she does have sharp teeth. She's not meaning to bite down on you. She's just trying to explore and figure out what you are.
You're curling into a ball.
Smile.
We can't see her yet.
So Dash can't have as big of chunks like Zoe can, like I just gave her. So we've got to chop all of his veggies up real fine. And he's been like 30 minutes since he's had anything to eat. He starts to act like he's going to die of starvation, so.
Now, where'd you get them from, I guess?
So we got both Zoe and Dash from the same breeder that has been breeding sloths for over 30 years. So he has a lot of experience with doing it, and you really need a lot of experience in something like that to be able to maintain them, because sloths are very sensitive to everything.
Okay.
They cannot maintain their own body temperature, so we have to keep it a constant 78 degrees in here year round. We only open up their outdoor enclosures when it's warm enough to do so and humid enough to do so. And so there is a lot that goes into keeping sloths. And these sloths have been bred for generations upon generations to be in captivity like this. So these guys are further removed from the rainforest than we are from the pilgrims first coming over. So obviously we're still people, we still have weird people quirks, just like sloths do. But they would have virtually no idea, these guys would have no idea what to do if they were to be put out into the rainforest.
Yeah.
You got it on camera?
So they were both part of an ambassador program, and they passed a final ambassador test, which means that they do genuinely enjoy being held by people. So this is what they like to do, this is what they're used to doing. And these sloths would rather be holding on to a person than they would be hanging out by themselves, which is why I'm holding Dash right now, because he was in that basket, but he doesn't think that it's nap time, so he wants to be up and be interacting with people. So that's what he used to do. And it would be a lot different story if we were to take a sloth from its natural environment and its natural habitat in the rainforest and try to do this to them.
Yeah.
It would be virtually the same thing as holding a feral cat and a house cat. So those experiences would go totally different ways.
Where are you going?
And these are all for her too. She's looking at you like you've got food. So you can give her this, just like hand feeding, just like that. Once she gets a hold of it, you can let it go.
Okay. She's like giving us a big lump. Just a big lump of mush. These are the craziest little them.
I'll give you this little dish if you want to hold that, and then she can pick out of it. So Zoe is 16 months old. She's still a growing girl.
When you say she can pick out of it, are you talking
Me.
about my life? Or-
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
She's how old do you say?
16 months.
They're so good.
Little baby.
They're so good, huh? And you are noisy over there. worth a big bite, huh? You had to work for that one.
I put this down.
Are you taking pictures or videos?
A little of both, I think. I don't know.
Let me see. Oh, we want more. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
you're good.
Well, let me see, because I'll do another one.
Now, what, you know, the wild ones, what part of the world do they live?
Central and South America, in the rainforest.
It's that, the weather's that consistent.
Yeah, it stays pretty hot and humid down there. They do have specific humidity requirements as well. It has to be at least 50% humidity. And so their enclosures have misters that we turn on once a day to make sure that it stays humid in there.
Oh my goodness, hello. Oh my goodness. You're like holding one of my babies when they were little.
Might curl up and take a little nap right there. That's her napping position.
Is that what you're gonna do? What you're gonna do?
I didn't even look at, so they have 3.
They have 3 on their back feet and 2 on their front feet. So these are 2-fingered sloths. Some people refer to it as 2-toed sloths, but it's more accurate to say 2-fingered because they all have 3 toes on their back feet. Even the 3-fingered sloths do. So the 2-toed sloths are what's mainly kept in captivity because the 3-toed sloths are a lot harder to vary their diet. So these guys, obviously in the rainforest, you're not going to see squash and zucchini and sweet
Sure.
potato.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it is adapted that they can eat things like that. But the 3-toed sloths can really only eat the leaves of the sarcopia trees that grow in the rainforest.
Okay.
And so it would be essentially the same to keep a koala. If you were trying to keep a 3-toed sloth, you'd have to have a private jet that went back and forth to bring you the leaves of the sarcopia trees, which is not, doesn't really pay for itself.
Right, right.
You're so spoiled. You have the craziest little, like, they're like your elbow or wrist joints or whatever. They're kind of.
And there's a really cool mechanism that's in their forearms where their tendons are really, really tight. And so that makes their relaxed state tense down like this. Well, what we think about is tense down because it takes energy to have to hold on like this. But for them, clamped down around the tree is their natural state. So even when they're sleeping, and even if the sloth were to pass away in the tree, it would continue to hang because that's their easy state. It's easy for them to do that.
You can't go to sleep.
That's the same with
You have to visit
the
with
back
them.
legs too.
Yeah.
You're so tired. It's been such a long day.
It's so hard to get my food handed to me and spend time with people.
You get petted all day long. How often, like, how long do they sleep in, like, a 24-hour period?
So they sleep about 15 to 16 hours a day.
My dream. That's my dream.
Scientists used to think that they slept about 18 to 20 hours a day, but they realized after doing a little bit closer research that half of the time that they thought they were sleeping, they were just hanging in the tree and not doing anything with their eyes open because the diet that they eat in the wild is really, really low in caloric content. And so they don't really have the energy stored to be able to just move around, climb around, and do different things when they're bored. So when they ain't got nothing better to do and they're not eating, they're just hanging there sleeping.
You're sleeping.
Pretty cool adapting. But you can see the color difference as well. Zoe, she's 16 months, and Dash is just 8 months right now, and he's a lot darker. But as his adult fur starts to grow in, it will get a lot lighter like she is. They virtually have no shed, so as you're petting her, you can see that there's not really any hair that's coming out. So it just kind of grows naturally into that lighter color.
So, like, what family class are they in? They're like not marsupials, right? They're,
They're mammals.
They're mammals.
Yeah. And then, believe it or not, Baku, the little armadillo that I had in here earlier, is actually related to sloths. So they're part of the superorder called Zethorans, meaning hinged spine. So the armadillos, they do have little spines underneath their carapace that hinges all the way into a ball like that, and sloths can do that as well. Obviously, they don't
curl around and use that as a defense mechanism because they don't have a carapace to protect them. But you can kind of see how slumped over
Yeah,
she is
she's
right
afraid
now.
of the big lump.
Yeah, she can get even more slumped than that. And the giant anteaters also have the ability to do that.
That nose is so smooth.
It looks smooth, but I don't
Alright.
know. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
it
touch
looks-
it, don't worry.
She's using it quite a bit.
Just when I need some time probably.
That's what I was gonna ask I was just looking for that armadillo. That
He
they
took
go-
Yeah, they took him out.
Wait till-
You gonna hug me, or you just gonna stay in the boy? You can look on my shoulders, they're not really sunburned, no.
And sometimes she's kind of slumped down right now, but if you cross your leg or if you put both your hands under her booty and scooch her up just a little bit, if she gets up closer around your neck, then she feels like she can, yeah.
Okay, now you need a picture of this.
Yeah, as long as
Oh
you
my god.
keep her pretty up close
Oh
like
my
that,
god,
she can,
yes, I'm
yeah.
keeping you.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
don't know, whatever this is.
23, 34.
And you can get up and take pictures too, that's fine if you want to. If you need to stay seated, but
Oh, I have
if
to
he
sit.
wants to get up, he can.
You have to, yes, you have to put the bowl down there. Not a good camera.
No, I'm not good.
So you go over there and take. She's like, where are you going?
Doesn't help her.
You get it?
She's like, oh, just another joke with a camera. So they do a lot of that right there.
Like,
Chewing?
No,
Oh,
like
okay.
kind of looking backwards.
Yeah, when they're looking, so this for them is really their right side up. Everything that's in their body is geared to be upside down like that. They can live, other ways as well, but scientists speculate that when they're upside down, that's that they're right side up.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I guess yeah, as you picture them on a tree or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
You got it?
That's great.
Did you take a still or did you take a video?
I take a picture.
Oh my goodness. Way more snugglier than you're gonna fall on. This is gotta be like a dream job. Way better than your job. No, for everybody who works here.
Oh,
Take care of all these babies.
It's pretty great. I'm working to try to get into vet school.
Alright.
Yeah, I applied last year. My dream school is UT. I had gotten an interview with UT but didn't get accepted.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any exotic experience. I had a lot of small and large animal experience,
Mhm.
but no exotics and not a whole lot of volunteer.
okay.
And so I'm trying to work on those areas for my next application cycle, hopefully be able to
That's
get
There
that.
you go.
Our daughter is, she did vet tech.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you should go out, cause like, I know she's my daughter, but she's like wickedly smart, like I'm an ER nurse and she's like an ER animal nurse,
Mhm.
so we're gonna swap stories, I'm like, wait, I don't know the words you're talking, like,
Mhm.
what? So I'm like, you need to go on to be a vet, she's like, no way.
No desire to be.
Yeah.
No, I'm like,
Yeah.
she's like, but I'm the smartest one there, I'm like, you should go then.
Yeah. It's a lot of schooling, especially if you don't already have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Because you have to do 4 years of undergraduate, and then you have to apply to vet school, and it's a whole 4 years of vet school.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
total of 8 or 9 years.
That's why she's like, they go to school longer than regular doctors and they get paid like half of what regular doctors get.
Exactly.
Yeah. And she's all about, I wanna make the money. So she's gonna do the vet tech thing and then she's working on getting her skydiving.
Oh, wow.
lessons.
Oh, that's cool. I could never do that. I would rather just die.
Well, the rate she's going, she hasn't stuck the landing yet,
Oh,
so she
man.
comes in pretty hard.
I think I would just pass from a heart attack on my way down. I don't think I could do it.
Where's the weight difference? Like, how how much do they weigh?
Yeah, so he's about 4.5 pounds. We weighed him today because he used the bathroom last night.
Yeah.
And they only use the bathroom once a week, so it's a massive amount when they do go. It's about a third of their entire body weight. So before she goes to the bathroom, she can get up to be about 14 pounds. But right after, she's about 11, 12.
That's the epitome of getting like skinny before an event.
Pee.
Yeah, the pee, everything is held until they come down to the base of the tree.
Where you going?
She's gonna start exploring. I don't know why she just randomly gets little. Now she,
Oh,
yeah,
I
don't
don't
touch the
touch that.
belly.
I'm trying not to touch your belly, but I don't want you to like fall. Okay. Don't fall. She's literally like a kid, like trying to hold a baby. Yeah. Almost made me touch it.
I like to think that.
I know, I feel her. I almost touched your belly.
Now, is that
It's
her
so hard to
exploring?
resist. Yeah,
I just like, my instinct was like to hold them,
Mhm.
like, don't fall.
yeah.
It's kind of like, when we like, when we were doing the dolphin stuff, they're like, don't touch stomachs and stuff.
I mean, I would be the same way if I was getting a back rub and then all of a sudden somebody started tickling
Right.
my belly. I'd get pretty mad too.
Yeah. I don't
You guys can have a party now. Amy, make sure you close gates. Good job. Bless you.
This monkey's gotta stop choking me now.
Hey guys, you were just watching the sloth encounter, and we're gonna go get one of the alpacas. Let's see. Get him out of the way. There you go. All right, guys, so we finally made it down here to the river. Emmy, while I show them the wagon, you can tap Peanut up somewhere and go ahead and be in your swimsuit and be ready, okay? I'm gonna show them the wagon. So this is the welcome wagon, guys. And you get to look out right at that. It's pretty beautiful. I'm gonna see if we can open it up so y'all can see inside. All right, get all your stuff together. All right, guys, we're going inside here to the welcome wagon so you can see it. See if we can get this set up for y'all. Look at this, guys. So this is the welcome wagon. How's that feed? We should have good Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's not showing right now. Can you guys see and hear okay? All right, there we go. That should be a better signal. I had to switch. Sorry about that. All right, guys. So to give you an idea of how much room there is, I'm not especially tall, but I'm like 5'9" or so. And you got a set of bunk beds here, you got a table to hang out, there's a coffee machine, there's a microwave, refrigerator, there's air conditioning in here. This is a king size bed, so a ton of room. You can see I got my arms stretched out, I'm not even touching the ceiling. So unless you're like Goliath or Shaq or something, you're gonna have plenty of room in here. It's really cool. And this one does have a bathroom back there in the back, and we're gonna go check that out here in just a second. All right, let's see if we can get it in here so y'all can see a little bit more. I like it because right out the front of the wagon, that's the Ocoee River. So that's how cool that is. You can just look right out there and see the Ocoee River. It is gorgeous. So I'm gonna spin this back around. And that's the bathroom back there. Y'all wanna see what that's like? Let's see if I can maneuver this. You can see it's a full bathroom, good to go. And then this obviously is a shower. So you got a ton of stuff here. And when you're looking out this, which is a frosted window, that would be looking out at the wagon, or excuse me, at the pastures. I'm not gonna open that up because we got guests checking in. So looking out from the bathroom there, look at all that room. Guys, these covered wagons are awesome. And if you need something for your kiddo to do, there's tons of swing sets and playgrounds and everything. We're about to go take Peanut into the Ocoee River, which should be very entertaining. Look at this, guys. Right here from the wagons. You're checking out alpacas, llamas, zebras, the camel are usually hanging out. And then right there, that mountain is Chilhowee Mountain. It's pretty fun. Is it Peanut's first time swimming? No, but Peanut did over a 7-mile hike with us yesterday because we're checking out some of the trekking routes that we're gonna be offering. So we wanted to see how that go. Today, Fallon is out with the horses and scouting out some of the rides that we're gonna be offering. So if you've ever wanted to do a backcountry ride, you can come here and do it. So backcountry horse rides are gonna be pretty awesome. Emmy, gather up your stuff, let's go. Okay. Stop doing that. Yes, sir. Yeah, Peanut did really good. I wish I did as good as Peanut. So we'll go down there, but don't get in until I'm down there, okay? All right, guys, we're gonna head down to the river. We're gonna hope that the Wi-Fi stays working. Amy, let me in front. Back up, Emmy.